Champions League now. Our coverage from Madrid gets underway in earnest tomorrow. We got Dan, Stuart, and Gab there, and Stevie, you join the boys on Wednesday. You all packed up? Ready?
No. What could possibly go wrong?
Niko Kovac's first year with Bayern Munich ends with a domestic double, the club's first since 2016, their seventh straight Bundesliga title, and yet that round of 16 Champions League exit at the hands of Liverpool looms large over year one of the Niko Kovac era in Bavaria. Raf, what is your sense right now? How safe is Niko Kovac as we head to the summer?
He seems pretty safe. On the back of winning the double, both Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, who's been very critical of him, even though he's dressed it up nicely, diplomatically, and Uli Hoeneß, the president, so the two most powerful people at Bayern, have said he will be the coach next year. So I think it's going to be very difficult to go back from that. He's done enough, I think, to convince the board that in the absence of a viable superstar candidate, he should be entrusted with that rebuilding job. But it is, at least on behalf of Rummenigge, done slightly begrudgingly, because he's been listening very closely to what the players have to say, and a lot of them have said they're not really sure that he's got what it takes to take this team forward. So he's going into next season not 100% secure, and you only have to wait till the first couple of bad results in September and October, and the debate and the discussion will come back.
What about Leroy Sané? Heavily linked to Bayern Munich, yet there are some reports today out of England that Manchester City making a last-ditch effort to keep him. Right now, what does your gut tell you? How likely is it that Sané will end up with Munich?
Well, they don't have to make a last-ditch effort because he's still got 2 years to run. The problem is that Bayern and City are quite far away in terms of valuation. That's between the lines of what Uli Hoeneß has said only yesterday, saying that, yes, of course, we are interested in the player, but it's difficult. So City ultimately have to make a choice. You know, how far do they want to push it? Are they happy to go into the season thinking that maybe they can change Leroy Sané's mind, or maybe that Sané himself will improve to the point that he'll be a regular starter again, or cash in now while his stock is very high and while in Bayern they have a really powerful, suitable suitor who can put a lot of money on the table? My hunch tells me that it's still more likely to happen than not. But of course they have to agree, and ultimately the money talks.
Theo Hernandez, Benjamin Pavard are already coming into Bayern Munich. The club has spent over 100 million euros on that pair, the French fullbacks. Of course, plenty more, though, to this Bayern Munich rebuild is expected. If they are going to be getting back to Champions League competitive level, what else does this Bayern Munich team have to do, Raf?
Well, they have to add a bit more depth up front. I think it's no secret that with Ribéry and Robben leaving, that they need to really strengthen those areas. Kingsley Coman and Serge Gnabry have done well, but they're not quite at the same level. So you need at least one out-and-out top star in those positions. Sané could be the one. Timo Werner would, I think, be more of a squad player, a player who can play in either of these positions or also be a backup for Lewandowski. And then there's still talk of a midfielder. I think Kai Havertz is too expensive for this year. They're trying to get him for next. But there's still a chance that they might go for somebody like Rodrigo, who's sort of a ball-playing deep player, to maybe give it a bit of an upgrade or refreshment to the Javi Martinez position, because he's getting on a little bit. So if you ask me again, I think we come down to the manager. I think the biggest improvement would come if one of the best clubs in the world also would have one of the best managers in the world. I think with all the best will in the world, Niko Kovac isn't quite there yet.
Of course, the other side of the Bundesliga title race is Borussia Dortmund. They've made some big signings. Nico Schulz brought in Thorgan Hazard, Julian Brandt, spent about 75 million euros. A reminder, they also got 65 million euros for Christian Pulisic. Raf, is there a sense that this is enough for Dortmund to compete with Munich for next year's title, or is there still more coming from Dortmund?
I don't think there'll be so much more coming, because those three positions where the areas where they need to strengthen. I think they're still thinking about adding a centre forward, because Alcácer has a lot of injury problems. He has scored goals, but physically not always able to play a lot of games. So that is the one big question mark. They showed this year that they can compete with Bayern, but of course Bayern will strengthen. Bayern will get better with the players that they're adding. So for Dortmund just to keep pace and make it as tight as it was this season, I think is probably the extent of their ambition. And then they have to hope almost that Bayern show that bit of fragility, show that bit of weakness that we've seen this year, where Dortmund very nearly and perhaps should have taken full advantage.
Very good stuff, Raf. A quick reminder, all right, we're looking at Cristiano Ronaldo's output in his first year in Turin, the least amount of goals that he scored since his final year with Manchester United. Of course, Juventus won the league, didn't win the cup, and the Champions League frustration at the hands of Ajax, probably the highlight or low light, if you want to say it, of Juventus' season. Ale, I'll start with you. How do we assess what Ronaldo did, given the massive expectations when he joined the club?
And it's because Cristiano Ronaldo comes to this club that then the expectations became, I think, unrealistic. Because we assessed Juventus based upon the fact that, okay, they were knocking on the door of winning Champions League, and then Ronaldo would be the guy to put them over the top. But what we forgot to assess was the fact that this team, in many other areas, was getting older. There are players here that took a step back. And I think the name that comes to mind right away is Paulo Dybala, who at one point a couple of years ago you might have thought, man, this guy, there's something here, and the upward trajectory for him would be one that would suggest he's going to be a top-class player, and that hasn't been the case. And then they became very Cristiano Ronaldo dependent, and no better example than that than the second leg against Atletico Madrid in Champions League, where we saw Ronaldo carrying a team. But he couldn't do that over the course of the whole year, the whole season. And overall, I just think for Juventus, it was an underachieving season, even if winning their league. They came up short on many other things. And one of those things was the expectations. They never came close to meeting those.
Stevie, it feels harsh to call it a failure, but I mean, it kind of feels
it's a strange one, because at the end of the day, he was brought in for the Champions League. And he did his job in the Champions League. He scored the hat-trick to get past Atletico Madrid. He scored in both games against Ajax. I mean, so in the Champions League, he did his job. It was the rest of them that didn't. If I was to try and pick a little hole in him, I would say that considering he's going to a team who, before the ball's kicked, are going to win the league, I think you would expect him to win the Golden Boot in Italy. You would expect more goals in the league. So on that side, not winning the Golden Boot for me would be a failure for him. But in the Champions League, I thought he did exactly what he was asked to do.
What's your sense on this, Raf? How should we grade Ronaldo's first year in Serie A?
I think this is so ironic. Welcome to Lionel Messi's world. You do your job, the team lets you down, still everybody blames you for somehow not doing it. I think that's exactly what happened. I completely agree with Stevie. I think he had a wonderful Champions League campaign. You really could not blame him for anything that befell on Juve. The fact that Allegri had to go was kind of the verdict in itself, that the team was not coached properly enough or not well enough to the liking of the club. But there is something of a decline in numbers. It is his lowest output in 10 years. His shot volume is still high, but the positioning of the shots are not as good, which suggests that he's finding it a little bit more difficult to get into these really good positions that he used to get to all the time. And he's probably just off his very peak a little bit. Now, that still makes him one of the best players in the world. It makes him the best player in Italy by a mile. But I think Juventus maybe are beginning to wonder whether they have made that big move maybe 1 or 2 years too late, because I'm not sure it's realistic to expect him by himself to push Juventus that much further.
Ale, the stats would suggest that there's some logic to what Raf is saying. He may be, statistically anyway, past his peak. You agree with that?
It's only natural. I mean, he's not getting any younger.
Gets his old.
And he has defied that logic already, because there were times in which he had slow starts to the season, and you think, well, this is it. That's it. You know what? Couldn't possibly score the same amount of goals that he has scored in the past, and then he would somehow revive himself in the middle of the season and end up with a ridiculous number of goals. But that didn't happen this year. And there weren't enough of those explosive games from Cristiano Ronaldo, where you see a hat-trick here, followed up by another 2 goals and another hat-trick, and there weren't those moments in which Ronaldo takes over. Now, some of that has to do with Juventus, and we just addressed that, and the rest of the team. But then some of that is that there is a natural tendency that, look, he's getting older. He is. And we're not saying that he's not a top-class player. We're not saying he's not elite. But eventually, these things do catch up. And eventually, that extra yard, that little half of something that allowed you to get in front of a defender, you're no longer able to do that consistently. And so, therefore, you're not able to score the goals that you did before. And so, if this number continues to go in this direction, then, yeah, the trend seems to be more like what Raf said, that it's natural that by getting older, we're looking at a player that his diminishing returns are also slowing down.
Plenty more on Cristiano Ronaldo over on our website, espnfc.com, in written form. James Horncastle with the article. Check it out. Best of the week, where Stevie acts out how you can, is that kill, grab a snake? Stun it. You stun it.
Steak.
And it's available on our YouTube channel.
Whatever this is.
Yeah. Lots of dancing.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, hello.
Always,
That's it.
Always a fun time. Lots of dancing as Tigres won Liga MX, the Clausura title last night after a kind of boring draw against León, but they won the first leg, so they get their 7th title, and really they have dominated Liga MX.
Where's your club?
In the last decade.
Where's your team?
You know, America did all of its winning early in the history, and so now they're just,
Okay.
They
Now
want
they're cruising.
everybody else. Let's let everybody else get involved. There is some news regarding the Mexican national team, and that is that Chucky Lozano will not be in the Gold Cup.
Are you okay?
I've been better.
I mean,
It's a big loss, though, right?
because we came today onto the green room, and the first thing that popped up was that, and you put it on 2 televisions, and you were excited and nervous at the same time. You going to be all right?
Look, I'm not going to get too excited about the Gold Cup this year for obvious reasons. Chucky's not the only one that's missing for Mexico. No Héctor Herrera, no Carlos Vela, no Chicharito.
They'll still get to the final, though.
If you look at the field, it's hard to argue.
Yeah,
that.
well, that
It's
says a lot about the tournament.
It does say a lot about the tournament. All right, everybody.
Hey!
Welcome into the ESPN FC
There he
studios
is.
for today's edition of Extra Time.
There he is.
Very excited to be back in
He's back.
the hot seat with Ale and Stevie. We got Raf on
You took the weekend off?
with us as well. I was working, but off of this show. So I think give everybody a break, you know.
Well, it's
Distance
healthy.
makes the heart grow fonder.
It's healthy for
It does
everybody.
something. It does something. Anyway, all right,
Always
let's.
what, right? Don't always.
No.
There are exceptions to that rule, you're saying.
We're all here today.
Frank wants to know, have any of the panel ever snapped their laces when trying to tie their shoes? I'm not sure what Frank means. Do you guys know what that means? Snapped snapped them in half? Is that
Well,
what
I
we
guess if you're trying
tying
to
them.
tie them very tightly. I can tell you that I would tie my shoes, and if it didn't feel comfortable the way I had tied my shoes, I would untie them and then do it again.
This
I think he means your cleats, your boots.
Yeah.
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 Well, maybe if you just couldn't be bothered, or you were superstitious, you can't be bothered changing your laces and then they snap and you
Right, when I get out.
That would be it, but not during a game.
Never.
No.
Good equipment man there at Liverpool.
Equipment, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you were doing it all yourself?
Sort yourself out. You get the kids to so-called clean your boots. That's it.
The apprentices.
The apprentices, that's it.
Next question, Oliver Ryan. Does Steve believe in Bigfoot?
Absolutely, aye.
You do?
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
That's a serious question.
Well, I don't know. You believe in it. There's no real evidence that
don't-
Bigfoot exists.
I don't understand why people just dismiss it.
I never know if I'm just getting my leg pulled here or not. That was so clear.
I'll tell you what, let me put it this way.
He's pretty serious right now.
I am. Let me put it this way, right? So they're now discovering that there are all different types of sea creatures because every year they seem to be able to go deeper and deeper, right? Mm-hmm. And they're showing things that you're like, if somebody showed you a picture of it, you'd be like, yeah, right, I mean, don't be so stupid. So what's to say, or who's to say, that deep in the woods and in the jungles and everywhere else, that there aren't different animals who may be of a larger size than what we are?
Can't really beat that argument. Who's to say?
No.
Who's to
Listen,
say?
they're still discovering different tribes in Brazil.
Yes,
In
yeah.
2019, so why not Bigfoot?
I do have a question.
Okay.
As it pertains to Bigfoot. What is the difference between Bigfoot and the Yeti?
Ooh, like the Domino's was a snowman. The big
Wait,
snowman?
so it's Bigfoot, it's a Yeti like a snowman
I think
version
that's
of the...
it's geography, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So
Maybe
it's in
it's the
different
same-
locations.
Geographical.
I think
So if Bigfoot goes on vacation to the Alps, then he becomes a Yeti.
yeah, that's definitely how it works.
That's how it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, for a little bit more expertise opinion on this topic, we go to Raph. Your thoughts on Bigfoot? Is there a Bigfoot
Am I in the right
Germany?
show? Am I in the right show?
Well, we ask ourselves that question every day, Raph. Don't worry about it.
Esoteric corner. I don't believe in Bigfoot. I'd like to think that all these extraterrestrial phenomena and all these things, they seem to have gone very quiet ever since people actually have mobile phones to make proper footage. Where is the footage? So, no.
Get yourself on YouTube. You haven't been on YouTube. That's where you need to go, Ralph. There's plenty of it there.
I tell you what Raph believes in. Deep V-necks.
Yeah,
He believes in that. He believes in that.
I mean, it's a fresh look.
Yeah! Get you some.
So Raph doesn't believe in Bigfoot. Paolo Bandini didn't believe in Atalanta. I mean, these guys just have no romance, Stevie. They got no imagination. No
Pretty open your mind up.
Well, if there is a picture of open-minded.
Expansive.
What?
Expansive. Next question also, Stevie, for you. Who was the best player that you ever played with?
Oh, dear.
Man, that's a tough one. That's a
Wow.
long list, huh?
With or against?
I can't really answer that.
It says with,
Okay,
so let's
all right.
stick to that. All right, well, if you don't want to pick between
with.
your teammates, let's go against then. Let's change the question. I think we can do that, right?
Sure, you just did it.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, it's not what Abdul Ali Mohammed wanted to know, but...
I played against Johan Cruyff. So, I mean,
Hard to
certainly
beat now.
no question in the, top 5 ever.
I'd go with that, yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with Johan Cruyff.
That's a strong one.
Are
You've
you-
got some strong ones, too.
Are you writing that down?
Yeah, I just like it.
I know you're right.
Because it helps me remember it. What if it ever comes up again?
So you're going
You're
to
going to keep
this
the
note?
paper. You're going to keep the paper.
No, but because I've written it down, it somehow seeps in
I
there.
see.
Yeah.
I see.
It's got a long way to see.
You got any best players ever played with against? You want to share?
Yeah, against.
Messi, right?
I've said it many a times that at their very best, Brazilian Ronaldo, Messi. I mean, list goes on. Neymar, Kaká. Anyway, let me just say that we did not come on the winning end many a time.
You weren't the favorites very
No,
often.
we were not. See, they had Messi and Brazilian Ronaldo. Hey, who does Venezuela have up top? This guy. Not quite the same. Not quite the same.
I think you're a bit harsh on yourself.
Yeah.
Didn't touch the ball much in those games.
Final question here. Again, obviously it's Champions League final week, Liverpool involved. We're getting a lot of Stevie questions. How long will Stevie go on the lash for if Liverpool win the Champions League? I told my wife not to expect to see me for a week. I get what is on the lash like party? What does that mean?
Yeah, on the lash eye.
Okay.
So I would suggest. I was going to say, depending on what time my flight leaves on Sunday. But then why stop?
Yeah. Just
Why not
keep it
carry
going.
on the
Yeah.
flight?
Yeah.
Plus, you'll be turning left, I assume.
Well, I don't think I'll probably notice which way we're turning, to be honest with you.
Well, no, it's important if you turn left.
Fortunately, I bought a ticket where somebody else takes me wherever I'm going.
Oh, that's your ticket.
He's called a pilot. So he can turn whatever way he wants, as long as he gets me home.
Is everything organized for your trip? Like you feel like pretty calm about it? You're very confident that.
Yeah, everything's just a small little detail.
Where are you staying,
I've
Steve?
no idea.
Oh.
You don't.
Nobody's told me what hotel I'm in. But it's only, hey, listen, it's
I'm
only
worried.
Monday.
Yeah, but I don't want
till
you
Wednesday.
wandering about Madrid. Although somebody will surely take you in.
Don't worry. We have a saying in Scotland.
On the lash?
You'll always find a piece at someone's door. Now, a piece is a sandwich, by the way.
Okay. But that doesn't help you for sleep. Oh, you're saying you'll find food.
Basically, what it means is some people always end up being all right.
Right.
And you're one of those.
And I'll be all right.
That's all right.
I'll end up getting a what?
Let me tell
A
you.
cerveza at MD's door. How about that?
Hey.
There you
Look
go.
at that. Okay.
The thing is that you don't stick out at all in Madrid. Like,
No.
people wouldn't think like, yeah, he doesn't
Well,
belong
hold
here.
on a
No, he
second, though.
belongs
Hold on
here.
a second.
You're a man of the world.
Yeah, you got to remember, there's going to be about 40,000 Scousers there, so I might blend in.
They may get there on what? Friday, Saturday? You're getting there
Oh,
Thursday.
no. Hey, listen, there'll be some there now.
Okay.
There'll be some there just now.
All right.
Get warmed up.
Let's get a prediction out of you.
Have a guess.
Liverpool.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, wow.
You gonna guess the score?
I'm going to say 2-1 Liverpool.
Oh, good. So dramatic, a tense.
Oh, definitely. Liverpool 2-0 up. 10 minutes to go. Harry Kane will come on for the last 10 minutes and
Love
score.
this.
And then we'll be biting our nails, hanging on. And we'll win 2-1.
You know what you are? You're romantic. You get narrative storylines. Unlike these journos.
It's a romantic,
Romantic.
open mind.
World man of the
Yeah,
world.
a man of the world. You know, Bigfoot, Yeti, everything.
Yeah.
Heading off to Madrid on
Open-minded.
Wednesday. We will miss you on tomorrow's show.